Hi everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Feeling Smarter. Coming to you live from our SMSF event in Sydney. We've had a pretty interesting couple of weeks so far, Tim.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. Really been enjoying the roadshow today.
Yeah, and the interaction's been great. And I think the topic that we wanted to talk about today has literally come from that interaction. And that is, in our SMSF days, we've been talking about estate and succession planning. And one of the questions we had was a life situation where an individual, SMSF member, 51 years of age, unfortunately, passed away. And we were looking at the issues of dependency, and we had a fairly large insurance proceeds payment that then flagged to us a number of strategy considerations that we actually walked through as part of our SMSF Day events.
Yeah, and look, and the insurance sort of for conceptual basis was roughly about actually the general transfer balance cap. So they were sitting at about $2 million, but so we'll round to $2 million for the sake of it. And the question obviously was posed is, can they pay a lump sum or can they pay a pension? And of course the answer we gave, well, from a lump sum point of view, we can do a tax-free lump sum to the spouse inclusive of the insurance proceeds. But we could also, from a fund point of view, we could also commence a death benefit income stream and pay out an account-based pension so that the money is invested in a tax-free environment or largely invested in a tax-free environment. But you'd still get that drawdown income. Now, of course, one of the caveats to that is that because the deceased and the beneficiary are both under the age of 60, there'd be a liability to PAYG that they would need to be mindful of.
Yeah, so, and in that regard, I think one of the strategies that we've been employing with our clients post 1 July 2017 is our above minimum pension election. And that same issue can actually, or opportunity can actually happen here. So in this instance, we might have this individual, $2 million, the beneficiary here starts a death benefit pension at 4%, and they may want to, for some reason, draw down more than what that minimum pension would be. And in this instance, because we have created a pension with a superannuation death benefit, the character of that death benefit always remains as a superannuation death benefit. So as long as we prospectively make that election to treat above minimum pension amounts as a partial commutation, the lump sum that actually comes out is a superannuation death benefit. And those interim and final lump sum rules are irrelevant because the decision on the death benefit was actually in respect to the income stream commencement, and these are simply benefit payments. And this is the difference between what SIS says and then how we need to deal with the death benefit for tax purposes. Yeah,
and of course, so that was one side of it that we said, okay, well, you'd be able to draw down a little bit more income than potentially need and minimising the tax. And then the other side of it was we said, well, because the surviving spouse also had a reasonable balance in super that they wouldn't be able to access for 10 years at least, we had this concept of the future liability to pay a benefit deduction, which, whilst not exclusive to self-managed super funds, it is primarily available to self-managed funds, contingent on a number of criteria. One, that the fund paid an insurance premium in the year that the death benefit was paid out, and then makes an election not to claim the deduction based on the premium, and that the insurance payments or the insurance payment that comes out of the fund is linked to the termination of employment by the member. Now, of course, so long as the member had been working prior to their death, you can make that link. But then, in this instance, with a $2 million fund, you're basically getting a deduction based on their future service period.
Through to age 65.
Through to age 65. So in this instance, there's 15 years of future service period, and they actually had like a current service period of 10 to 15 years. So if we use 15 for the example, it would make an entire service period of 30, meaning that the future service portion was representative of half the benefit payment.
The total period.
Meaning that they could actually get a tax deduction of roughly $1 million.
Yeah, and because it is an otherwise deductible expense, we aren't necessarily utilising that against a range of other aspects. So we get a deduction there. We can utilise that deduction, but equally we can then we will get the benefit over quite a substantial period of time because of the loss that we're actually incurring.
Yeah, and so in this instance, even though there is ECPI in the fund, we're still going to get a benefit for a significant period for what is effectively a single member fund, not generating a huge amount of taxable income.
Yeah, so I think what we wanted to do there was just to highlight today that there are some real strategic opportunities around the dealing with superannuation death benefits, and this is certainly something that we've covered in our SMSF Day events, and it's quite fascinating that there have been a range of questions that come about, and that's the advantage of putting these days together, where you get ongoing conversation with attendees and really starting to flesh out what that looks like, and then obviously the opportunities that present.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you once again for joining us for this week's SMSF show. We look forward to you joining us for next week's Feeling Smarter. Take care and bye for now.
See you all.